Welcome to Bucs Insider Live. Casey Phillips here with senior writer and editor Scott Smith, and we are here to talk about everything Buccaneers related, even though right now there's very little Buccaneers related that will be happening for about a month and a half. We will talk about that in a little bit in terms of the schedule, what came out of mini camp, what we're looking forward to. But for now, we are going to start with our trivia question, and I thought this was a very creative one on your part that I liked.
Thank you.
I definitely did not know the answer. I have still not looked for the answer because I wanted to find out with everybody else here on our show, but I thought this was fun. So share the question with everybody.
All right, here it is. Mike Evans is one of 52 players in NFL history with 10,000 or more regular season receiving yards. How many of those 52 players played for the Buccaneers?
So when you come up with a trivia question, do you always know the answer?
No, I had to look that one
Okay,
up.
all right. I was going to be like, man, this is impressive.
I could have thought of most of them, but I wouldn't have been sure that I got all of them.
Right. Okay.
So you can answer this question. You could try sending it, or you could even just answer some of them that you think that are involved.
So you can either say
if you don't know the number,
this number of people, or you can just try to be like, all right, I think this guy did it, this guy did it, and we can maybe tag team the effort. So whatever way you're trying to answer it, put it underneath our Facebook Live video in the comments, and we will get to the answer later on in the show, and we'll try to shout out anybody that seems like they've gotten any of it, part of it, correct. For now, like I mentioned, we're kind of in this dead time around the Buccaneers facility for the most part. So tell us a little bit about the schedule right now, what's going on, what's not going on, what kind of is the previous, and then the next thing we have coming up.
There's still a little activity. It'll be less next week because you get to keep the rookies around for an extra week for, what is it called, rookie engagement? But it's a week of doing things. And yesterday there was a bunch of commotion outside my office. And I came out and there's like 25 guys walking through the hall, and what they were doing was they were introducing all the rookies to everybody in the building, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that they do that. I think it's great, and it's twofold that it is part of their rookie engagement. They do a lot of different classes and things that are really cool, from finance to learning about Tampa, and then this is part of their etiquette training, which I always love. They learn about the forks and the spoons.
Do they really?
Oh yeah, it's great. It's one of my favorite things every year. And part of the etiquette training is also about some of the idea of networking, meeting people. So it's the twofold where it's one, they want everybody to see what all it takes to make the Buccaneers run, that sometimes the football side and the business side don't always know each other very well.
That's
so they
true.
want them to meet them. And then also it is the day after their etiquette training to put into practice what they learned about proper meeting people and networking. How'd they do? If
the part of the training is they're supposed to be friendly and shake your hand and introduce themselves, then I guess it worked because
they nailed it.
They were all doing that.
That's great. I love that. So yeah, now we have the break until training camp, and so tell us kind of a little bit about what we're looking forward to with training camp, and of course also shameless plug, Training Camp Report live.
Yeah,
we will be doing
practice,
the show
right?
all the times that there are practices. We'll be coming to you live, so make sure you are around for that. We will cover it every which way possible. By the end of training camp, we will have talked about all the things. So what are some of the things that you are looking forward to, and some things to keep in mind about camp?
Well, so now's the big break. It's the biggest lull really in the entire NFL year-long schedule because most of the offseason has tentpole events like free agency and the draft and so on. But this is the break. Mini camp is over, the offseason program is over, and the players don't have to report until late June, July. The date hasn't been announced yet, but it's somewhere in late July. And they get this time off. And I guess what you do is you cross your fingers, hope that nobody gets in any trouble in that span, and that everybody continues to work out enough so that when they hit training camp, they're in shape to hit the ground running. But right now it's just a big break. But then we will have training camp. It will once again be at the Advent Health Training Center, which is the fourth place that the Buccaneers have ever held training camp. As you can see here, started out at the beginning, the first 11 years in franchise history, they just practiced at their own facility, and they stayed at part of that time they stayed at a little hotel right next door that was called the Hall of Fame Hotel, because it was by the Hall of Fame golf course. That's a mall now, but whatever. And then they moved for quite some time to the University of Tampa, where the players would stay in dorms. And then when John Gruden arrived, during that tenure, we went off to Orlando to practice at Disney's Wild World of Sports and stayed at the Celebration Hotel. And then in 2009, it just became obvious that, hey, we have this perfect facility with all this great stuff. We don't have to move everything. Let's just do training camp here. And really that's become the trend all around the league. When I first came in the league with the Chiefs, we were doing training camp up in Wisconsin, and they had the Cheese League. Now almost every team just practices at their own facility or somewhere close.
That was when you guys took a horse and buggy?
Nice.
I love when it's live, so they can't stop me from making jokes like that. Yeah, I think that it's going to be really fun this year for training camp. I know they have so many fun things planned for the fans, and I kind of like that we get to do it at our own facility.
It's very convenient.
It's very convenient, and it's cool for the fans, and I love that our facility is even right by the stadium. It just kind of feels like, you know, it's right there and by football. And, you know, back when I was with the Rams, your facility and your stadium were 30-something minutes apart. You better hope you did not forget anything, because that was not fun. All right, so we already have one potential answer for the trivia question.
Okay.
It was just one name. It was Joey Galloway.
That is one of them.
That is one of them. Way to go, Richard. Nailed it. I love that he sent it with a bunch of question marks, like, Joey Galloway? Maybe?
Joey Galloway is definitely one of them, also one of my all-time favorite players.
All right, so again, we're looking for the rest of that trivia question, because I'm going to guess the answer is more than one.
It is more than one.
More than one, so keep on trucking in the comment section underneath our live video with your answers to it. Something I'm looking forward to in training camp is looking at this new defensive line. This is one of the areas of the team that had a lot of change and a lot of turnover, and I know that we've gotten to, they're a hard group in the off season to see much, learn much when you're
shorts and t-shirts.
Yeah, there's not any contact. All the guys in the trenches, that's the hardest thing to get any kind of feel for. But I know that we've gotten to at least hear from, you know, new draft pick Kalijah Kancey about how it's going for him and what he sees so far. So what was something that maybe you learned from him, or just even watching how they're planning to use him?
You can see his quickness. You know, even though they're not hitting each other, you can see the guy's quick. And well, I guess we'll jump right to this. He's actually got elite quickness for the interior defensive line position since 2003, which is, I guess, as far back as we have data. He had the fastest 40-yard dash by defensive tackle since 2003, and just a little bit better than fellow Pitt alum Aaron Donald. And of course, there's constantly Aaron Donald comparisons because of their size and where they came from and quickness. And nobody's going to saddle anybody with, hey, he's the next Aaron Donald.
What a heavy yoke to put on starting your career.
But what you can say is that he's playing next to another really, really good, a Pro Bowl interior defensive lineman in Vita Vea, and he was talking the other day about how much Vita has helped him along, but also how much help he expects it to be playing next to Vita, because as we all know, he gets double teamed a lot, and that obviously has always helped the edge rushers to some extent, but it should really help out Kalijah playing next to Vita Vea, and he knows that already, and he's counting on it. So it could look really good.
And that is just going to be so cool to watch, because I'm sure a lot of times, yes, they want to double team, but they'd love for an offensive lineman to only have to maybe give a little attention to one and be able to go to the other. But if they try to go to Vita first, Kalijah's quickness,
he's so fast.
There's no way they can try to get anything on Vita and still get on Kalijah. So if they try to go to Kalijah first, Vita's got one-on-one for business.
And he's got, for his size, he's got good quickness too, but he's also got a power game. So
I feel like for Vita's size, good quickness would be a 10-second 40-yard dash. The guy is so big and yet somehow still so quick.
Nimble.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And then the other one is going to be just watching a guy like Lavonte David again, that I know everyone's excited that he is back again for another year. Just one of the most beloved figures in this franchise, and it's so funny to hear him realize that this offseason he's the old guy on the team. He talked about that a little bit. So what do we feel like our expectations are out of him, and why the team wanted him back for sure, and just what the linebacker group could look like?
You know, if you think about it, it was nice having Tom Brady around, because if you were like 32, 33, 34, he's like 12 years older than I am. I'm not the old guy. Well, now Lavonte is the longest tenured guy.
Which was a bummer for me, because Lavonte's younger than me, and so I was like, oh, man.
Well, Tom Brady's younger than me, so.
There you go. We were all really clinging to the Tom Brady, helping us all feel closer to football.
So, you know, I lost my train of thought. Oh, you know, it's not like Lavonte's never been a leader, right? He's been a team captain for something like 8 or 9 years in a row. He's clearly a team leader, but he even feels now like he needs to be even more so, just because he's that guy, and there's a lot of younger guys on the team now. Over the last 2 drafts, we've added a lot of youth to that defense, and some of them are going to be in big roles. And for this defense to continue to be good, which it has been for most of the last 4 years, some of these young guys are going to have to know what they're doing, and Lavonte is the guy that's going to help them along. So, and he also is still a very good player. I mean, last year he had a very good season, and you know, that was his 10th season, I believe, in the league. 2011 season. He was a 2012 draft pick, so I guess that was his 11th season. And over the last, now this is from NFL Next Gen Stats, which just started getting data in 2016, which is why it looks like cherry picking since 2016. But this is the average yards allowed per target when you're the nearest defender in coverage, and of all off-ball linebackers, probably all linebackers really, these are the best. They have the best numbers in terms of not allowing yards per catch, or per target, I should say. And look at Levante, he's right there. He's number 2 in the league.
It's incredible.
He's a great coverage linebacker, and he still has speed and quickness, and so, you know, it's awesome that we didn't lose that in the middle of our defense.
Yeah, that's going to be incredibly important. And again, the leadership, you can't overstate that. And I've seen at times over the years, Levante's not always the most vocal guy.
Right, correct.
He's kind of that lead by example guy. But then when things have maybe hit super rough patches, he is the guy that will say something. And then therefore when he does, everybody listens. Everybody takes it incredibly seriously.
It's the Tony Dungy effect.
All right, we are going to hear the answer to the trivia question now. So Richard had given us one of the names. So
well, you know there's at least 2 because Mike Evans is included.
Okay, so that's fair. So we know it's at least 2. So how many?
You want to guess
52?
how many it is?
5?
8.
Wow, that's
8.
amazing.
It's kind of funny, and you know, there's a couple that barely play. Like Tim Brown's on the list. He played for us like 3 games.
Yeah.
So here they are. 8 players. 8 of the 52 have played for the Buccaneers, and those numbers in parentheses are where they are on the all-time list. So you have Tim Brown, who's 7th.
Julio Jones, and Antonio Brown. I should have thought of at least. And Deshaun Jackson. Oh my gosh.
Keenan Cardell, who was on the Super Bowl team, scored 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. You said Deshaun Jackson. Joey Galloway was guest. Keyshawn Johnson, and then Mike Evans. And
what's so funny about this list is when I first thought about it, Keyshawn Johnson was the first name that popped into my head, which is very funny because I was not here when he was here, and yet Julio, Antonio Brown, Deshaun, the ones I was here with, did not occur to me, and I feel like somehow I was thinking of people drafted by the Buccaneers, which is not what you said.
No.
And or just people that were here like longer in their career. Something.
Kevin House. Yeah. Some people would guess. Some people guessed. Rest in peace, Vincent Jackson, but he didn't quite make it. But there is, for a bonus answer, another person on that 52-man list was a Buccaneers coach, Harold Jackson, in 1992 and 93.
Wow.
So if you want to count coaches, 9 of 52 is a pretty high percentage.
That is a high percentage. I love it. That was a fun one. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Bucs Insider Live, and we'll be back next time.